So yeah, I want to do a recap of this Q and compare it to last Q because I generally feel like this Q1, man, like it's actually going all right. I just feel like last year was my year of like, okay, I'm making a move. Let's see how it goes. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Even now, I'm like, okay, well, I'm here now. I'm gonna make it work regardless of what's going on. You know what I mean? And I just look back at all the stuff I've you know, come through, right, in the last 12 months. Everything's hitting its 12-month anniversary, right? I spent the New Year's bringing it in, thinking, okay, well, how am I going to make this year better than last year, right? And it's tough. I've got some notes behind me, so I will be veering off. But yeah, man, like I don't regret this, bro. I love what I'm doing, and it's tough and it's hard, but at the same time, like I've chose to do this. I always want to go back to this because when people feel like, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm saying, look, this is a conscious choice I made. So let me rewind now. Let me rewind. So December 2024, I came here, right? I left my job I had. I had a good job, actually, to be honest, in London. I had a flat, solid, been there for 19 years. But I weren't happy, right? Whatever. Left the yard. So I ended up leaving. And before I left, I tried to align a few people to be in the house so I can keep the flat. You know, I don't want to give up the flat, you know. So long story short, I had my nephew, and I spoke to him, and he actually didn't live close to my house. So it wasn't 100% basically, but I was trying to move. I don't wait for no one to make decisions in my life. Meaning, if my nephew couldn't go in the house, I was not going to go to Scotland. So I was thinking, okay, cool. Well, until you're ready to make the decision, I'm still moving. I don't have time to wait for you, right? So I'm here coming, here. I'm here now. So I'm here. I've started a new job. I've left my old job. Okay, I'm here. I'm working now. Next, you know, by the end of January now, right? It was all part of the plan. He calls me and says, "Unks, I can't move in the yard." I'm just like, I couldn't do nothing really. It's his choice, you know. But obviously, at that point, I brought the van and I spent all my money. I got a full wage from my last job and a full wage from my new job, and I used that money to buy the van, right? So I had no money to pay the rent. I was like, oh, bro, what is this, man? So I said, Neff, man, like you're gonna have to pay that money because you was meant to move in the house. I spent the money, and that's what happened, right? You paid the money, and the next month I paid the money. I'm thinking, okay, cool. Well, worst case scenario, I'll just have to maybe just have to pay the money. But now it's counterintuitive to me leaving to save money, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Well, everything will work out. That's always my mentality, right? So anyway, long story short, the following month, so you got to understand, the first 3 months was tests to see, wow, do you really want this? So once it came to like February now, I got fired from my job, bruv. So I was like, what? Like, I've basically got no one in my flat. That's gonna now cost me money. And then number two, I've lost my job. Damn, what do I do? You know what I mean? I could have left Glasgow at that point. I didn't have to keep going. That's the point I'm trying to make. But I wouldn't be here. This is another point I'm trying to make. I wouldn't be here today if I decided to like not, you know, persevere. You know what I mean? So anyway, obviously, like that was like the first 3 months of like these things happening, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I just got to keep going. And I was working for Yodel, doing deliveries, making basically no money. Like, remember, I was making like a full-time wage. I was making like 2 grand a month, roughly the same I was making in London. So I'm trying to make more or less the same equivalent, but that we're running. Like, if you look at the months ahead now, when I get to like the middle of the year now, like I've got an empty flat for all this time, by the way. I was trying to keep up with the payments, but it weren't working because I weren't making a full wage. Even if I made a full wage, most of it would have been in my flat. So I would have been homeless in Scotland, still paying the same expenses I was paying in London. So I'm just like, something's got to work. So, long story short, I found a job in April and I kept that job for about 2 months and a bit. But I aimed to came back to London for Wimbledon 2024 to work for 3 weeks. When I came back, like, didn't work, right? Because I confirmed the shifts, and then close to the time, they wanted to send documents to confirm stuff. I think it was ID or address or something like that, and I just didn't see their message, and it just took me off the shifts. So I was like coming to London thinking I'm working, and I'm sitting here no work for 3 weeks. I'm just like, bro, what is going on? Meanwhile, another nephew of mine was in the flat, right? So this was like end of June, July, right? Long story short, I lost my flat, right? My nephew that was in the flat, he didn't even know, right? And I ended up losing the flat. And I'm just like, damn, like that was definitely another point. I was like, okay, I'm out of the game, like for real. I was more out of the game then than the beginning. Cause I'm like, damn, like my flat, like Like, I didn't even know, I didn't expect that, basically. And I never forget it. And I'm going to hold tight to my nephew, Shakeem, 100%, because that was the only point where I was like, okay, this shit ain't going to work, man. I'm done. I called him. I said, Neff, like, actually, I messaged him. I said, look, I'm going to done this thing. Like, I can't be arsed. Like, I'm going to either stay in London and do this thing, or like, I'm going to go back to Scotland and try again. What do you reckon? He said, Unks, like, you came to London for your yard. Your yard's gone now. You had no reason. And as soon as he said that to me, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go again. And the whole, because for real, I was down. I was out. I was like, yo, this is mad. I've gone through bare jobs. I've lost the job. Like, I've lost my yard. Like, this is not going in the direction I wanted to go in. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? This is why you always got to keep going, bruv. And it sounds mad when you say it. You think, what do you mean? Why do you keep going? But the reality is, you're only going to succeed through the not even failures, right? Through the things that are not going the way you want. Like, that's just life. Sometimes you have to just keep going. So anyway, long story short, this is like the middle of the year now. So you say the first 6 months is a disaster. So by August now, my security badge I have for 3 years has run out. Right? Bear in mind, I've got no money, right? I'm basically living on nothing. There's times where I'm not proud of it. I was shoplifting to eat. It was serious. I was borrowing money. It was insane, right? But anyway, that's just the first 6 months. I'm going to do another video actually because it makes sense for the next 6 months of 2025.